The twin sons of Zalara were still hidden when Adam woke up. A thin blanket of silver fog covered the alien village like a ghostly sea. The boy rubbed his sleepy eyes, wondering why he had woken so early. Normally, the loud voices of alien traders and the clanging sounds from the market filled the air by now. But this morning, everything felt wrong, too silent. Adam sat on the edge of his small bed, his bare feet touching the cold floor. Through the open window, he looked out at the forest line. The giant trees there looked like dark towers rising out of the mist. He felt a shiver run down his back. Something moved out there, and then he saw it. At first, it looked like a shadow sliding across the ground, fast and low. But as the mist parted, Adam caught the shape clearly. An alien creature, its body long and muscular like a jungle cat, but with glowing blue stripes running along its back. Its golden eyes burned like fire in the half-light. The villagers called it Zirith. Stories said it was cursed, a spirit of the forest that lured people away, never to return. No one followed it. No one dared. But Adam was not like the others. He had always been curious, always searching for things that adults told him to leave alone. And today, the Zirith was not moving away like usual. It was waiting. For him. The creature stood near the edge of the forest, its body tense, its eyes locked on the boy's window. It tilted its head slightly, then turned as if to leave, only to stop again, looking back, like it was giving him a choice. Adam's heart pounded. He could wake his father, but his father would never believe him. He would just say Adam's imagination was too wild again. Adam looked back at the house. Everyone was still asleep. He grabbed his small jacket, a bottle of water, and slipped quietly out the door. The village was strange in the misty dawn. Market stalls stood empty, the bright alien fruit and metal tools covered in dew. The tall lamps that usually glowed at night were dark. Not even the alien guards at the gates were around. Adam crossed the dirt path, his steps soft as he headed toward the forest. The creature waited at the tree line, its glowing stripes lighting the fog like a living lantern. It didn't growl. It didn't run. It simply turned and disappeared between the trees. Adam followed. Inside the forest, the air felt different, thicker, heavier, alive with sounds he couldn't name. Strange birds with crystal wings screeched from the branches above. Long vines hung from the trees, dripping with glowing blue sap. The ground was soft and springy, covered with moss that released tiny puffs of dust when stepped on. The Zirith moved ahead gracefully, silent as a shadow. It never looked back. Adam's hands felt sweaty even though the air was cool. Why was it leading him here? What did it want him to see? The deeper they went, the stranger the forest became. The trees grew massive, their bark covered with glowing alien symbols. The wind carried a low hum, almost like music, rising from the ground itself. Finally, the Zirith stopped. Adam froze behind it, his eyes widening. Ahead lay a wide clearing surrounded by ancient stones, each one carved with the same glowing runes. The ground in the center wasn't grass or soil but smooth metal, shining through the mist. And there, half buried under vines, was a huge metallic door. It pulsed faintly with green light, as if alive. Adam ducked behind a rock, holding his breath. 3 tall figures stood near the door. Not human. Their bodies were covered in dark armor that glimmered in the fog. Strange weapons rested in their hands, humming with quiet power. Their helmets had glowing red eyes, scanning the trees slowly like hunting machines. Adam pressed his hand over his mouth, heart racing. The Zirith crouched low beside him, its ears twitching but making no sound. One of the armored figures touched a panel on his wrist. The metallic door shuddered. With a hiss of steam, it began to open. Adam leaned forward slightly, eyes wide. Steps led downward into a faint green glow below. Cold air rushed out, carrying a strange, metallic smell. And then, a sound came from deep inside. A voice. It wasn't alien. It wasn't mechanical. It was almost human. Adam's whole body froze. The armored figures turned toward the stairs like they were waiting for someone, or something, to come out. The Zirith made a low growl deep in its throat, the fur along its spine rising. Adam didn't understand what was happening. He only knew one thing: whatever was inside that underground chamber was not meant to be found. But he was already here, and now there was no turning back. The air inside the clearing felt heavier than the forest behind it. Adam crouched low behind the rock, his heart hammering so loudly he was afraid the armored guards would hear it. The mist swirled across the metallic ground like ghostly smoke, catching the green glow rising from the door in the center. The Zirith beside him didn't move. Its glowing stripes dimmed slightly as if it was hiding too, its golden eyes fixed on the figures near the door. Adam had seen aliens before. His father worked with many species on this planet. Some looked strange, some looked almost human, and some looked frightening. But these were different. These aliens moved like soldiers, tall, silent, and disciplined. Their dark armor reflected the faint light, smooth like liquid metal, shaped to fit their long limbs. The red glow from their helmets cut through the mist like a predator's gaze, and their weapons, long spear-like rods that hummed with an eerie energy, made Adam's skin crawl just by looking at them. One of the guards knelt near the metallic door. He pressed a series of symbols on a panel, his fingers moving fast like he had done this many times before. The door gave a low rumble, then slowly slid open with a hiss of steam. Adam held his breath. The inside was dark, the staircase leading downward lit only by a sickly green glow from below. The guards didn't speak. Not a single word. It was as if they were waiting for someone or something to come out. The Zirith shifted slightly beside Adam, its muscles tense. Adam could feel its body trembling, but not from fear. It was like the creature was angry. What was this place? Why had it brought him here? Adam's young mind spun with questions, but he didn't dare make a sound. He stayed hidden, watching as two of the guards descended the stairs slowly, their glowing weapons ready. The third stayed at the top, scanning the trees around the clearing. For one terrifying moment, the red glow from the guard's helmet passed over Adam's hiding place. The boy froze. His lungs burned from holding his breath. The guard's head paused, then slowly turned away. Adam let out a shaky breath, sweat running down his neck. From deep below came the sound again. A voice, muffled, weak, but not alien. It sounded human. Adam's eyes widened. His father had never mentioned humans being here before. This planet was supposed to be a neutral place, a place for peace talks, trade, and science missions. Not whatever this was. The Zirith let out a low growl. The guard at the top snapped his head toward the sound. His weapon rose slightly. Adam shrank lower behind the rock, his heart hammering. The guard scanned the trees for several long seconds before lowering the weapon again. The boy didn't move. Minutes passed. The two guards came back up the stairs, their heads close together, speaking in a language Adam didn't know. Their voices were sharp, urgent, almost angry. Then one of them tapped his wrist panel again. The metallic door began to close slowly. The green glow from below faded, swallowed by the heavy door as it sealed with a deep clang. Adam felt a strange chill run through him. Whatever was down there, they were hiding it. The guards began walking away from the clearing, moving toward the deeper forest. Adam waited until their red lights vanished in the mist before crawling out from behind the rock. His knees trembled as he approached the metallic door, now silent and buried under vines again. The Zirith moved beside him, its head low, sniffing the ground near the door. It gave a small, mournful sound, almost like a whine. Adam looked around nervously. "What is this place?" he whispered, even though no one could answer. The creature turned its glowing eyes on him. For a moment, Adam felt like it understood him. Then the Zirith padded silently to the far side of the clearing and looked back at him, waiting. It wanted him to follow again. They moved deeper into the forest, away from the clearing and the sealed door. The mist grew thicker here, curling around the roots of enormous trees. The air smelled damp, heavy with the scent of moss and strange alien flowers that glowed faintly in the shadows. Adam kept glancing back over his shoulder, half expecting the armored aliens to return. Finally, they reached a narrow path between two cliffs. Strange symbols were carved into the rock walls, glowing faint blue in the darkness. The Zereth stopped here, its ears twitching. Adam followed its gaze and froze. Beyond the cliffs lay another opening in the ground, smaller than the first but unguarded. A faint green glow leaked from below, and this time Adam clearly heard the voice. Weak, trembling. Help, please. The boy's blood ran cold. Someone was down there. Someone was alive. And they were calling for help. The narrow cliffs felt like the walls of a giant's throat, closing in around Adam as he followed the Zereth. The glowing symbols on the stone gave off faint blue light, just enough for him to see the creature's tail swaying slowly ahead. The air was colder here, heavy, like they were walking into a place untouched for centuries. Adam's shoes slipped on the damp ground as they reached the opening in the earth. From below came a faint green glow, and the voice again. Help, please. It was weak, human, definitely human. Adam's mouth went dry. What was a human doing here? His father had never spoken of other humans on this planet. The council meetings, the alien traders, the scientists, yes, they came and went, but never had anyone mentioned a human trapped underground in a place guarded by armed soldiers. The Zereth looked at him, eyes glowing softly in the dim light. Then it padded toward the opening and started down the rough, rocky stairs. Adam hesitated. His father would have told him to run back to the village, to find help, to stay safe. But Adam couldn't leave. Not now. Not after hearing that voice. He tightened his small fists and followed the creature down the steps. The staircase twisted downward, carved roughly into the stone. Strange roots glowed faintly along the walls like threads of light guiding them deeper into the earth. The air grew colder with each step. At the bottom, the tunnel opened into a wide chamber. Adam froze at the sight. The walls were covered in metallic panels that pulsed with soft green light, casting strange shadows across the floor. Tall, dead machines stood like silent statues around the edges, their shapes unfamiliar, covered in dust and vines. Some looked like towers, others like giant claws reaching toward the ceiling. In the center of the room stood a crystal-like pod, its surface cracked but still glowing faintly from inside. And within it, Adam's breath caught. A woman. Human. Or at least she looked human. She lay inside the pod, her long hair floating slightly in the faint liquid around her. Her face was pale but peaceful, like she was only sleeping. Wires and glowing tubes connected the pod to the dead machines around the room. The voice came again, weaker this time. Help me. Adam's eyes darted around. The woman's lips hadn't moved. The voice was in his head. He stumbled back a step, his heart hammering. The Zereth growled softly at the pod, ears flat, body tense. Adam stared at the woman again. She didn't open her eyes, didn't move, but the voice came once more, this time softer, almost pleading. Please. They will come back, help me. Adam's mouth felt dry. Who was she? Why was she here? And what did she mean by they? Adam walked slowly toward the pod. His small hand touched the cold, cracked surface. A faint hum ran through his fingers, like the pod was alive. The woman's voice in his head grew clearer. They betrayed me, locked me here. Please, before they return. Images flickered in Adam's mind. Tall aliens in armor, battles on burning planets, strange ships falling from the sky. He saw the armored guards outside, the sealed door in the clearing. He saw the woman standing before crowds of aliens, wearing a crown of silver light. A queen. She was a queen. Adam stumbled back, his head spinning. The Zereth moved closer to the pod, its glowing stripes brightening as it pressed its snout against the crystal surface. The queen's voice softened. Faithful one. You kept me alive. Adam looked at the creature in shock. It wasn't just leading him here. It had been protecting her. Suddenly, the faint hum in the walls changed. The green glow flickered. The Zereth growled sharply, spinning toward the stairs. Footsteps. Heavy. Armored. The soldiers were coming back. Adam's heart leapt into his throat. The queen's voice sharpened in his head. Free me. Quickly. Before they silence me forever. Adam looked around wildly. He didn't know how to open the pod. There were no buttons, no handles, only dead machines and tangled wires. The Zirith slashed its claws across one of the wires connecting the pod to the wall. Sparks flew. The green glow from the pod brightened suddenly. The Queen's eyes snapped open. Adam froze as the woman inside the pod looked directly at him. Her eyes glowed faint blue, almost like the symbols on the walls. "Child, help me stand, please." Her voice was faint but real this time, no longer only in his head. Adam grabbed the edge of the pod as the front cracked open with a hiss of air. The Queen fell forward, weak and trembling. The Zirith pushed under her arm to keep her from falling. Adam's small hands grabbed her other arm, struggling to keep her steady. The footsteps on the stairs grew louder. The Queen's eyes burned with sudden urgency. "They will kill us all, unless we escape now." The Zirith snarled, crouching low, ready to fight. Adam's heart pounded as shadows appeared on the staircase wall. The soldiers were almost here, and there was nowhere left to hide. The Queen leaned heavily on Adam's shoulder, her legs trembling like she hadn't walked in years. Her pale face glowed faintly in the green light of the chamber. Beside her, the Zirith crouched low, its golden eyes burning as it stared at the staircase where the heavy footsteps grew louder with each passing second. Adam's heart pounded so hard he thought the soldiers would hear it. The Queen's weak voice came out in a whisper. "They cannot take me. We must run. Now." But there was only one way out, the same stairs the soldiers were coming down. The Zirith growled deep in its throat, its glowing stripes flaring brighter as if ready for a fight. Adam's hands shook. He was just a boy. He had never been in a battle before. But one thing was clear. If the soldiers caught them here, the Queen would die. The first soldier appeared at the bottom of the stairs, his armor gleaming in the green glow. His red helmet eyes locked on them instantly. "Run!" Adam shouted, his voice cracking. The Queen and Zirith moved toward the far side of the chamber, away from the stairs. The soldier raised his glowing spear weapon. The Zirith leapt. It hit the soldier like a storm of claws and teeth, knocking the weapon from his hands. Sparks flew as the two crashed to the ground, the alien beast snarling, the soldier shouting in his strange language. But more footsteps came thundering down the stairs. Adam grabbed the Queen's arm. "This way." They ran toward a narrow tunnel at the back of the chamber, half hidden behind a broken machine. The Queen stumbled as they entered the tunnel. The walls here were rough stone again, the green glow fading behind them. Adam could barely see, the only light coming from the Zirith's glowing stripes as it darted ahead after finishing off the soldier. The beast led the way, its movements fast and silent. Behind them, the soldiers shouted, their voices echoing in the tunnel like angry ghosts. Adam didn't dare look back. The Queen's breathing was ragged, each step sounding like it took all her strength. "Not far," she whispered, her voice shaking. "There is another exit." Adam didn't know if she was telling the truth or just trying to give him hope. He only knew they had to keep moving. The tunnel twisted sharply, leading to a higher passage. Strange roots glowed faint blue along the walls, lighting their way in eerie shadows. Suddenly, a blast of red energy hit the wall near Adam's head, showering him with sparks. The soldiers had weapons, and they were using them now. The Queen stumbled again, almost falling. Adam pulled her up with all the strength in his small arms. The Zirith roared, the sound echoing so loud it shook the tunnel walls. Adam saw movement ahead, a faint circle of light. An exit. They were close, but the soldiers were faster. Two of them appeared behind, their armor clanking as they ran. One raised his weapon, aiming straight at the Queen. The Zirith spun around, leaping toward them with terrifying speed. The weapon fired, red energy burning through the air, but the beast slammed into the soldier before he could fire again. The second soldier swung his spear like a blade. The Zirith dodged, snarling, claws flashing. Sparks lit up the tunnel as metal met alien fury. "Go!" the Queen cried. "It will hold them." But Adam hesitated. He didn't want to leave the creature behind. It had brought him here. It had saved them. The Zirith looked back for a moment, golden eyes locking on Adam's. Then it roared again, hurling itself at the soldiers to block the passage completely. Adam half-carried the queen toward the exit. The circle of light grew brighter, wider. They stumbled out into the open air just as the suns were rising, painting the alien sky in red and gold. The queen collapsed near a tree, her chest rising and falling fast. Adam turned back toward the tunnel. The Zereth burst out a moment later, its fur scorched in places but alive. Behind it, the soldiers appeared, their armor shining in the sunlight. The beast growled, standing between Adam, the queen, and the soldiers. But now there were too many of them. At least 6 soldiers, weapons ready, advancing slowly. The queen struggled to stand, her weak voice trembling. If they take me, they will kill thousands, maybe more. Adam's hands clenched into fists. He had no weapon, no plan. The Zereth snarled, stepping forward, ready to fight to the death. But before the soldiers could attack, a deafening roar filled the sky. Adam looked up, and his eyes widened in shock. A human ship, small, fast, but armed. It swept over the trees, engines screaming, and fired a warning shot into the ground between the soldiers and the queen. The aliens scattered, shouting in panic. A hatch on the ship opened. A voice called down, "Get in! Now!" Adam didn't know who it was. He didn't care. He grabbed the queen's arm, helping her toward the ship. The Zereth followed close behind, growling at the soldiers as they regrouped. The soldiers raised their weapons again, but the ship's guns turned on them, glowing hot and ready. No one fired. Not yet. As the queen climbed into the ship, her eyes blazed with sudden strength. "They will never stop," she whispered to Adam. "Not until I am dead or free." The boy shivered as the hatch closed behind them. The Zereth sat at his feet, growling low. The soldiers below watched as the ship rose into the sky. And Adam knew this was only the beginning. The human ship flew fast over the endless forests of Zalara, its engines leaving a trail of smoke across the morning sky. Inside the cabin, Adam sat on the floor beside the queen, his small hands gripping the edge of a seat as the ship shook slightly in the wind. The Zereth lay nearby, its golden eyes scanning the door, muscles tense, ready for another fight if needed. The queen sat on the metal floor, weak but upright now, her pale face glowing faintly under the cabin lights. She kept her eyes closed, breathing slowly, like she was gathering her strength. Adam wanted to ask 100 questions at once. Who were those soldiers? Why did they want her dead? Why was she trapped underground? But the words stuck in his throat. The silence in the ship felt heavy, broken only by the engine's roar. Finally, the queen opened her eyes. She looked at Adam first. Her gaze was strange, soft, but powerful, as if she was looking through him rather than at him. "You saved me," she said, her voice low but clear. "But you do not know what you have done." Adam swallowed nervously. Who are you?" The queen leaned back against the wall, her long hair falling across her shoulders. For a moment, she didn't answer. Then she spoke slowly, each word heavy like stone. "My name is Soraya. I was queen of the Veari Dominion before the betrayal." Adam frowned. "Betrayal?" She nodded, her eyes darkening. "Those soldiers you saw, they were once my guards, my protectors. But my own council turned against me. They wanted war. I wanted peace." Her voice shook slightly, though her face stayed calm. "So they took my throne, locked me away in that chamber, and told the galaxy I was dead. Because as long as I lived, the people would follow me." Adam stared at her, wide-eyed. "So, they want to kill you because you didn't want war?" The queen's gaze met his. "No, child. They want to kill me because I carry something they fear." Before Adam could ask what she meant, the ship's pilot shouted from the front, "We're being followed." Adam spun toward the small window. Far behind them, dark shapes moved through the clouds. Fast ships. The soldiers were coming. The queen didn't even flinch. "They will not stop," she said softly, "until I am dead." The Zereth growled low, as if agreeing with her. Adam's small fists clenched. He didn't like this. He didn't like any of this. He was just a boy a boy who had followed a strange animal into the forest one morning, and now he was sitting beside a queen with enemy soldiers hunting them through the sky. Felt like a dream, a bad one. The queen's eyes softened as she looked at him. I am sorry you were pulled into this, little one, but perhaps it was meant to be. Meant to be? Adam asked, confused. She nodded slowly. The Zirith chose you. It never chooses lightly. Adam blinked. Chose me for what? The queen didn't answer right away. She looked out the window at the alien sky, her face calm but her eyes full of storms. Finally, she spoke. Long ago, my people created something powerful. A secret hidden even from most of my council. A weapon, yes, but also a key. A way to end wars forever. Many wanted to use it to rule the stars. I wanted to destroy it. That was my crime. Adam's breath caught. And you still have it? The queen placed a trembling hand over her chest. It is here, within me. That is why they hunt me. The ship shook violently as enemy fire streaked past them. The pilot shouted again. We can't outrun them for long. We need a safe place to land. The queen's voice stayed calm. Head for the human outpost near the eastern cliffs. They will protect us. The pilot turned the ship sharply, the forests below rushing past in a green blur. Adam clung to the seat, his mind spinning. A weapon inside her. Soldiers hunting them. War hanging over everything like a dark cloud. He was only a boy, but somehow it felt like everything now depended on the queen. And maybe on him too. The Zirith suddenly stood, its golden eyes locked on the window. It growled low, ears flat. Enemy ships were closing in. The queen looked at Adam again, her voice dropping to a whisper only he could hear. If they take me, child, they will burn worlds to ash. Millions will die. Do you understand? Adam nodded slowly, fear tightening in his chest. The queen's eyes softened again. But if I live, there is hope. For your people. For mine. She leaned closer, her voice trembling now. That is why you must protect me, no matter what happens. Adam's small hands clenched tight. He didn't know how he could protect anyone. He was just a boy, but he nodded anyway, 'cause somehow he knew she was right. The pilot shouted from the front. Hold on. We're going down. Enemy fire streaked past again, shaking the ship. The queen grabbed Adam's hand. The Zirith crouched low, ready for the crash. The outpost was close now, but so were the soldiers, and Adam knew the real battle was only beginning. The human ship shook as it descended through thick clouds, smoke trailing from its side. Enemy fire had scorched the hull, leaving black scars across the metal. Inside, Adam held tightly to the seat strap, his knuckles white, while the queen sat silent beside him, her pale face calm despite the chaos around them. The Zirith crouched low near the door, muscles tight, golden eyes glowing like fire. It kept growling softly, watching the skies outside as enemy ships darted behind them like hunting wolves. The pilot shouted above the noise. The outpost is ahead, but we have to make it through one more wave. Adam's heart pounded hard. He looked at the queen. Will they stop if we reach the outpost? She shook her head slowly. No, they will keep coming. My people fear me more than they fear your soldiers. That answer sent a cold shiver through Adam's chest. The enemy ships swooped in again, their red energy bolts slicing past the human craft. One shot hit close, shaking the cabin so hard Adam almost fell from his seat. The Zirith snarled, pacing back and forth like it was waiting for the fight to begin. Then, ahead of them, through the clouds, Adam saw it. A human military outpost built on the edge of towering cliffs. The gray walls rose high, bristling with turrets and radar dishes. Searchlights swept the skies, and armored vehicles waited along the landing pads like watchful guardians. Finally, safety. At least Adam hoped so. The pilot slammed the ship down on the main landing pad. Soldiers in heavy armor rushed forward, aiming their weapons toward the sky as enemy ships circled above like vultures. The hatch opened with a hiss. Hot air and the smell of smoke filled the cabin. Out now! A soldier barked. Adam jumped down first, helping the queen as she stepped weakly onto the platform. The Zirith followed close, growling at every noise, its tail lashing behind it like a whip. More human soldiers surrounded them, weapons ready. Then one of them stopped in shock, eyes widening at the Queen. By the stars! She's alive? The pilot nodded sharply. Long story. Right now, she needs protection. The enemy ships dived closer, their weapons glowing red. Human turrets roared to life. Blue energy bolts streaked through the air, slamming into the enemy fighters. One ship exploded in a ball of fire, crashing into the forest below. But more kept coming. Adam covered his ears as the sky erupted with the sound of battle. The Queen stood tall despite her weakness, watching the fight with cold, steady eyes. "They will not stop," she said softly. "Even if you destroy every ship here, more will come. My people will burn this planet to reach me." One human officer turned toward her. "Then why are they after you? Who are you to them?" The Queen's voice carried across the platform like a blade cutting through the noise. "I am Soraya, rightful Queen of the Veari Dominion, and I carry the only thing that can end their war." The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. The officer stepped closer. "If what you say is true, then we need to contact command. If this turns into a war on Earth's doorstep—" "It already is," the Queen interrupted, her eyes flashing. "You think they will stop with me? No. Once they taste blood, they will come for you next. For your cities, your people, your children." Adam shivered at her words. The officer looked at the boy, then back at the Queen. "What do you need from us?" The Queen stood straighter, her strength returning slowly. "An alliance. Humans and Veari rebels fighting together. My loyalists still live, scattered across the stars. If we stand as one, we can stop the council before they bring ruin to all." Her voice was steady now, like a queen giving commands again after years of silence. Another explosion rocked the cliffs as enemy ships bombarded the outer walls. The officer shouted to his men, "Get her inside the command center. Move!" Soldiers formed a tight circle around the Queen, Adam, and the Zirith as they rushed across the landing pad. Enemy fire rained down, scorching the ground behind them. Adam ran close to the Queen, his heart hammering. He still couldn't believe this was happening. Just yesterday, he had been an ordinary boy in a small village. Now he was running beside a queen, soldiers fighting above him, the fate of whole worlds hanging in the balance. Inside the command center, alarms blared as officers shouted orders over the intercom. Holographic maps showed enemy ships swarming across the skies. The Queen stood before the main console, her tall figure framed by the flickering blue lights. "Send a message," she ordered firmly, "to the rebel fleets. Tell them Soraya lives. Tell them to gather. War is coming." Adam watched the soldiers obey without question. Even the hardened officers seemed shaken by her presence, as if they felt the weight of her words. Outside, the battle raged on. Human and enemy ships clashed in the skies above the cliffs. Flames lit up the morning like a second sunrise. The Zirith sat beside the Queen, eyes glowing, tail twitching, ready for whatever came next. Adam stood quietly, his young face pale but determined. He didn't fully understand politics or war, but he understood one thing. The Queen was right. This was bigger than her, bigger than him, bigger than all of them. And if they failed, many would die. The Queen turned to him suddenly, her blue eyes fierce. "Child, you found me. You saved me. Now you must help me unite them." Adam's throat felt tight. "Me? But I'm just a boy." The Queen shook her head. "No. You are the reason I live. They will follow you because you had the courage no one else did." Her words hit him harder than the thunder outside. And deep inside, Adam felt something change. Maybe he wasn't just a boy anymore. Maybe he had a purpose now. The sky over the human outpost was filled with smoke and fire. Enemy ships still circled like angry vultures, exchanging blasts with human defense turrets. But inside the command center, everything felt strangely still. Adam stood near the Queen, his small hands clenched tight, watching the holographic map glow on the table. Red dots, enemy forces, moved closer and closer toward the outpost. Blue dots, human ships, were few, scattered, struggling to hold the line. The queen stood tall beside him, her long hair flowing like dark silk under the lights. She looked calm, but her blue eyes burned with a fierce, quiet fire. "This day will decide everything," she said softly. Adam swallowed hard. He didn't fully understand wars or alliances, but he understood fear. And right now, fear hung in the air like thick smoke. A human officer approached the queen. "We sent the message to the rebel fleets as you ordered," he said. "But even if they come, it will take time." The queen nodded slowly. "Time we do not have." Another officer looked at the radar screen nervously. Enemy reinforcements approaching from the east. At least 20 ships. Adam's heart sank. The queen turned to him suddenly. "Child," she said, her voice calm but urgent. "What you did this morning when you followed the Zirith, it was no accident." Adam frowned. I just followed it. That's all." The queen shook her head. "No. The Zirith led you because it sensed something in you. Something even you do not see yet." Adam didn't know what to say. He felt too small, too ordinary to matter in all this. But deep inside, a tiny spark began to burn. The command center shook as another blast hit the outpost walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. Soldiers shouted orders. "We can't hold them much longer," one of them cried. The queen stepped forward, her voice ringing clear over the noise. "Listen to me. If this outpost falls, the council will spread its war across the stars. Your people will suffer as mine have. But if we stand together now, we can stop them before it begins." Her words cut through the fear like a blade. Even the soldiers paused to listen. She looked at Adam again. "You found me when no one else would. Now you will help me show them that humans and Veari can fight as one." Before Adam could answer, the radar operator shouted, "New ships incoming from hyperspace." Everyone froze. The holographic map flickered as dozens of blue dots appeared on the edges of the screen. Not human ships. Rebel Veari ships. They had come. The enemy forces broke formation above the cliffs as the rebel fleet roared into the skies, their sleek silver ships firing bright blue energy bolts. Human turrets joined in, and suddenly the air was filled with fire and thunder as the battle turned. Adam ran to the window, eyes wide. He had never seen anything like it. Enemy ships burst into flames one after another as the combined human and rebel forces pushed them back. The queen stood beside him, her eyes shining. "Today," she said softly, "they will learn they cannot kill the future." On the ground below, enemy troops stormed the outer gates, but human soldiers and rebel fighters held the walls side by side. The Zirith leapt into the fray like a living shadow, tearing through armored enemies with claws and teeth that glowed like fire. The queen stepped out onto the platform as the battle raged around them. Her voice rose above the chaos, carried by speakers across the outpost. "People of the Dominion, people of Earth, today we fight as one. No council, no tyrant, no traitor will ever rule our worlds again." Her words rolled across the battlefield like thunder. Adam felt chills run down his spine. Hours passed before the last enemy ship fell burning into the forest below. The sky grew quiet again, filled only with smoke and the faint crackle of fires. Human soldiers and Veari rebels stood together on the landing platform, weapons lowered, their faces marked with exhaustion but also something new, hope. The queen stood before them, tall and unshaken despite the dirt and blood on her clothes. "Today," she said, her voice carrying across the silent crowd, "marks the birth of a new alliance. Together we ended the council's hunt. Together we will end their war." She turned toward Adam, her blue eyes softening. "And it began because a child followed a faithful guardian into the forest and refused to turn back." Adam felt his cheeks grow warm as everyone looked at him. He didn't feel like a hero. He had been scared the whole time. But the queen smiled. "Courage," she said softly, "is not the absence of fear, but moving forward despite it." As the sons of Zalara set over the smoking battlefield, rebel ships and human fighters hovered side by side above the cliffs. The queen raised her hand high. The soldiers, human and Veari alike, cheered as one. A new alliance was born that day. and Adam knew the galaxy would never be the same again.